Now, before I start, I do want to ask this question, right? There are no wrong answers, right? I simply need one of two answers. A for yes, B for no. The question is, do you believe in soulmates, right? Are soulmates real? If soulmates are real, if you believe that people have soulmates, comment A. If you do not believe they have soulmates, comment B. I'm curious to know why you think what you think. So if you want to elaborate, that's fine. But I also just want to know what people think in general. I would be curious to see if I can be persuaded one way or another. So do you believe in soulmates? Answer A for yes. Answer B for no. In ancestral numerology, the greatest number of all is Otu, or as some know it, Mbu, the beginning. Otu, or 1, is known as the greatest and the largest of all numbers because it is Otu that creates all other numbers, and it is Otu that precedes all other numbers. The number 1 in Igbo numerology is a fractal representation of the Chi, the unmanifest intention that creates and guides the existence of all things. Everything in nature is created by their chi and is a reflection of their chi panning into time and space. But before the panning begins, within the chi is the design by which all of space and time will be controlled and manifest by. The Abara closely related to the number Otu is Atu. In Igbo cosmology, before the universe we're in today was created, all was one, and this singularity was known as Atu. Like the singularity or Atu, Otu is without form and dimension. And therefore, in Igbo numerology, Otu is also used to reflect the idea of nothing. And I'll break down why shortly. It's very important to understand this, so pay attention to this part. In 1976, the United States government, in partnership with the Monroe Institute, conducted what was, without question, the freakiest, most unusual experimentation that leaked documents have given us a chance to look into. After that year and the decades to come, the United States government had invested its resources into actualizing what the texts of ancient people said about the astral realm, how to access the astral realm, and what was really beyond the veil of existence. Now, as strange as the experiment sounds, they found exactly what they were looking for. And as I'm going to tell you in this story, they ended up finding more than they had asked for. But what the Gateway experiment would find is exactly what is said in Odinani about the Igbo numerological meaning of the number 1. In ancestral numerology, the number 1 represents an unmanifest intention and an unmanifest controller, something that exists beyond time and space, beyond existence itself. That is the actual controller of the affairs in existence. Now picture this. A group of people are sitting in a strange room that's filled with a hum. Headgear strapped to their heads. And this humming is sending 2 pulses into their brain, utilizing a mysterious new technique called hemisync. A technique that makes the 2 hemispheres of the brain begin communicating with each other. Now, the intention of this hemisync technique is to unlock the hidden doors of consciousness, to allow the mind to transcend time and space and see the universe for what it really is. Now, as the pulses hit the brain, the state of meditation that the participants are in begins to grow deeper and deeper, until slowly they begin to tear the fabric of reality, until finally they escape from the known and project into the unknown. The first few things they found were small, that individuals can do remote viewing, taking your consciousness from one room to another, that individuals can astral project, moving to different places in space. Then eventually they found that you can use your consciousness to move to different places in time. And for the first time in modern history, unlocking time travel in a way that nobody had anticipated. But that wasn't even the weird part. And what I'm going to say next, few of you are going to believe. I myself barely believe in telling the story, but it's right there in the government documents. Listen to this. One by one, the participants began encountering a being in a realm they referred to as their higher self. Now, this term, according to them, described the truest and most complete version of themselves, which was capable of communicating back to them. It had the nature of answering questions, guiding them, imploring them to seek deeper insights and look deeper within themselves for the answers that they were looking for, and many answers that they didn't even know that they were looking for. Now, this version of themselves was not bound by space and time. It existed in this realm that they referred to as the eternal now. The participants themselves, when they returned from their trips, described this person or this self as the real them. It was their full potential actualized in the form of a being, but the being had no form and did not exist within space and time. But this isn't even the strange part. Now, what they would find next has actually expanded what I know about some key concepts in Odinani. As they went deeper into questioning and exploring this eternal now, this space beyond space, the impossible happened. They discovered that they existed in one of multiple versions of reality, that there were several versions of reality scattered across this plane of realities, all of them actualizing different choices, different lives, and different paths. Some versions more enlightened than others significantly less enlightened than themselves. And all of these versions of themselves were all radiating out from that higher self. This led them to realizing that they were just a reflection of something beyond existence, that itself was truth. Now, the higher self wasn't a distant or unreachable entity as they described it. In fact, they very much said that this is actually them, and it was always with them or within them. Every choice, every thought, every version of themselves throughout time, all being guided by this thing that is the core, and all of the different versions of the self that exist in these parallel realities, like rays of light reflecting from that center. And because they can access that core, not only were they able to change and influence themselves, but they can also change and influence themselves in these separate parallel realities. Now, with that, the session ended, but the lingering feeling remained. And once they had put their eyes on their higher self, they could never look at reality the same again. This is Derek Ofadarunwa, and today I'm going to explain numerology and ancestral thought. The first four numbers I'm going to cover are the numbers I refer to as the cosmic numbers. Now, pay attention to this set of numbers because they are going to give you the foundation for unlocking the rest. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. I also have three big things to announce. One, join the Patreon, patreon.com/The Medicine Show. We've built a community of individuals that are learning and discussing Odinani and Igbo together. All members of this community have access to my full research library with over 300 books, articles, and documents that teach different topics on Igbo spirituality. We also have two courses that we teach. One is our traditional medicine class. If you are interested in opening your Oseora or third eye, this is one of the topics or steps that are taught in the traditional medicine class or the Ogun class at www.kedu.me, and all patrons at the highest level get this class for free. It is taught by a practicing Dibia based at home, who will teach you in an apprenticeship if you believe this is your calling. Class number 2 is our Igbo language class. If you have made a promise to yourself to learn the Igbo language this year or 2025, join at www.kedu.me. Kedu teaches the Igbo language as the Igbo language. We do not mimic an English language program, and this is the most effective method of learning Igbo you can imagine in the world. This is proven. I'll put anything on this fact. Anyone that wants to challenge me, go ahead and comment and we will go proof for proof. We have classes for children and coaching even for infants. So if you have a child, an infant, or you want to reclaim your ancestral language, join at www.kedu.me. And with that being said, let's begin. The root verb tu in its most abstract form represents the idea of the potential transitioning into action. Tu will appear in words that allude to movement, placement, scattering, most typically at the point by which the thing is not being done yet, but is about to be done. It can also allude to the word doing or any verb in general. And this is important to understand because in Igbo numerology, you will notice a pattern. The odds represent action or movement and are masculine in their nature. And the evens represent the static or unmoving. Otu is also associated with the Chi or Chukwu Okike Abiyama, the unmanifest manifester or the creator of all that is and all that ever will be. Chukwu Okike Abiyama's mind is also referred to as Etu, and it is from Etu that Chukwu sends his consciousness into the universe and directly into people, which is referred to as Abia. This direct link to the consciousness and nature of Chukwu that all things do is the source of Ndu, life, and amumanye, consciousness, sentience, awareness. As the Chi is the builder of all things, Otu is also the builder of all numbers. In order to understand your Chi, study the number 1. The number 1 is without dimension, meaning that a one-dimensional object is a dot without size, shape, or form. Otu is the spark within the mind from which the idea manifests. Otu is a limitless potential, and again in Igbo numerology is known as the biggest number of all, because it is the grandfather of all the numbers. It is the builder of all the numbers. And because all things start with 1, the potential for where it would go is limitless. In the Afa language, Otu is Obi. Obi itself represents absolute potential, unmanifest possibility, and at the same time, nothingness, because nothing is the only form something can have in order to have absolute potential. If numbers were music, picture Obi and Otu as silence. The origin of all music is silence, and it is the silence between sounds, which we'll get to on the next number, which then creates sound and music. In the Afa language, what Obi by itself says is far too abstract to be explained in this video. But when it's paired next to something else, it becomes more specific. Now, one of the things you will see in all of the phrases that have Obi inside of them in the Afa language is they allude to a relationship with potential. For example, Obi next to Obara is daylight, or the idea that something might happen. If you want a video on the sacred Afa language, the language by which ritual is formed, comment below. The number 2 is Abo in Igbo numerology, representing being, with the root word Bu meaning being. In Igbo cosmology, in order for something to be or exist, 2 things must witness each other, or as in Igbo say, wherever you see something standing, something else stands to its side. All things in this universe manifest in 2s, as we are in Uwa Bo, the world of 2s. This is because, according to ancestral cosmology, in the beginning there was 1, a singularity known as Oma or Atu, and then the Chi element of the Atu separated itself from the whole, creating the current phase of the universe we are in now, Wabo, the world of 2s, a universe by which all things manifest in the 2 forms that were created from the separation of Oma, which are Eke, physical existence, and Chi, non-physical existence, the mother, Eke, and the father, Chi, creating the universal God body known as Chineke. Chineke is the fractal by which all things are born, meaning that the universe is an infinite array of repeating patterns. Every individual is an echo of divinity. Every particle in the universe has an equal and opposite antiparticle, but when you put a particle next to its antiparticle, 2 particles annihilate each other, creating an explosion which releases a burst of energy. Now remember this for when I get to the number 3. Light and other particles have 2 forms, 1 as a particle and 2 as a wave, depending on how they're observed. DNA itself is formed by a double helix, and atoms themselves are made up of two things, quarks and antiquarks, that function in pairs. According to the ancestors, at all levels of existence, cosmic pairs allow each other to exist. The only reason that a sound can exist is because there is a silence before its conception and after. There is life because there is a death. There is light because there is dark. This exact formula is why the number 2 in Igbo numerology is the cosmic house of being. One of the ways we confirm that we're in a world of twos is through the concept of space-time. Now, I'm going to explain the concept of space-time in 1 minute. And after listening to this, you should be caught up to Einstein because this is what he was saying. Listen to this. Everything that exists moves in two directions. It can either move through space, like directions, up, down, right, left, or it can move through time, past, present, future. Most things move through both. If you're driving to work, that process has a past, present, and a future, as well as a distance, 5 miles or heading east. Objects that are absolutely still are only moving through time. If you set a cup on a table, that cup is still moving through past, present, and future, but it's not going east, west, nor south, only moving through time if it is absolutely still. On the flip side, light particles can move through space without moving through time. And when this happens, the particle will have a different experience with time than everything else. Time is a subjective experience and differs based on speed. Cosmic pairs are forever intertwined, and all things exist because of the existence of another. For all things you see, there is something you do not see about it. For everything you understand, there is something you do not understand. For every beginning you have witnessed, there is an end. And for this reason, one can decipher a lot about the universe, their own life and their own being, without ever encountering it. Because there's a part of it at all times that you know very well. And what you do know has a reflection in the unknown. This is reflected in the Afa language because all of Afa speaks with two tones, Aku and Obi. Aku representing darkness, with the number 2 being her number, and Obi representing light. Aku being that which is still, Obi being that which is active, Obi being that which is outer, and Aku being that which is inner. These two nodes create an unlimited amount of messages that come directly from the mouth of Afa, and has been key to the deciphering of the universe as well as the self for our ancestors. The number 2 is also the house of Eke Nechuku, God the Mother, or being itself, the physical universe that you interact with and that you are a manifestation of. In the ancestral worldview, the universe is the grandmother and therefore is listed among your ancestors. You are a direct descendant of creation. One of the Abara, or spirit forces, that are hosted in the number 2 is the cosmic spider and weaver of worlds, Udide Okanka. Udide Okanka is the weaver of born and unborn stars. After the universe changed its composition from 1 to 2 by splitting the singularity into Chineke, the Chi element began its cosmic work by building a 4-walled chamber known as Obi-Chukwu. But outside of Obi-Chukwu, Eke, the wife of Chi and the manifest universe herself, began to occupy her time by weaving a cosmic fabric. When she would eventually die, this fabric would become her burial shroud, and the weaving of this tapestry was left in the hands of Udide Okanka, the cosmic spider. This cosmic spider intertwines the strings of creation known as Ete, and is constantly repairing, expanding, and building the fabric of existence itself, which in Igbo refer to as Ogodo Komosu, Komosu's Rapa. Now, there is a little known secret about Udide Okanka that I'm going to share now, so listen close. Udide Okanka is Agu, and one of the things you will notice at every single number is there is a correlating Agu. As in Igbo cosmology, Agu is in all things and all places, is the existential piece in every single element of creation and exists to execute its divine purpose in both the physical and spiritual realm. Agu as a cosmic force is two-headed, and at all levels, each of these heads take a different name. If you're interested in a video on unlocking the secrets of Udide Okanka, the cosmic spider, comment below. In Igbo numerology, the number 3 represents kinetic force, the power of motion, time, and transition, the active element of the universal principle. In the beginning, there was the singularity. The singularity separated itself into 2 parts, Chineke. And then what followed next was motion. The Chi element began the motion of building its mysterious and secret four-walled chamber. The Eke element began the motion of weaving the divine cosmic fabric that would become reality. But there's something that the ancestors understand about motion and the power of the number 3 that you'll never hear from anywhere else. And pay attention to this next thing I'm going to say. The motion provided by the number 3, or the kinetic power of the number 3, is the movement of an element within existence. But there is also the kinetic energy that is created from the movement in your existence that will carry you through your different incarnations. The motions you do in the world are a microcosm of the greater motion you are doing through the cosmic fabric of time and space. And this motion appears to us as life and death. The scale of an individual's movement through time and space can never be comprehended by that individual. The same way that it is more than likely the cells in your body do not fully comprehend the complete and absolute motion of the body itself, its intentions, and its purposes. And therefore, the number 3 is the number of cosmic and worldly motion, or kinetic energy. As the house of kinetic force in Igbo cosmology, the number 3 is therefore a manifestation of a cosmic force known as Ikenga, one's kinetic power. Now, like Agu, Ikenga exists in all things at all levels, but the Ikenga I'm going to focus on today is the two-faced Ikenga. In Igbo cosmology, the two-faced Ikenga is time. Now, it is important to remember this, and this is going to be a very, very hard to understand concept that shows and insights into the mysterious understanding of time that our ancestors held. So follow this. Whatever direction an Ikenga faces, it moves, meaning that the double-faced Ikenga is heading towards the future and heading towards the past at the same time. The double-faced Ikenga, which again is time, gives you an idea of what our ancestors have to say about time. If you're interested in a video on the double-faced Ikenga or time, comment below. All kinetic forces, or all things that hold the potential for kinetic energy, are manifestations of the Ikenga and the number 3. It is the same double-faced Ikenga that introduced the concept of currency to humanity. Currency is a fractal manifestation of what happens in your bloodstream, what happens in your nervous system, the exchange that all living things do, which we call the cycle of life, where elements take from creation and then give back to creation in equal portion. Creatures eat and provide food for each other. Things are built by destroying others. This exchange is why Igbo say, "Wa buahia," the world is a mark, "Madu zucha," Allah. Once we are done buying, we leave. The number 3, as the kinetic force, also manifests in the kinetic force of human endeavors. Everything you do is because of Ikenga, and the higher and more aligned with the divine plan that your actions are, the stronger and higher form of Ikenga an individual can tap into. Ikenga is therefore the spirit of doing. In Igbo cosmology, Agama is one of the many spirits that a blacksmith will work with, meaning that Agama is Ikenga. For this reason, in the ancestral worldview, your profession or what you contribute to the world is your spirituality. One's workplace is a sacred shrine, and the utensils of your work are treated with the same sacred reverence that a person applies to their instruments of worship or spiritual connection, such as a Bible, a shrine, and so forth. This is because Ndibo say that the Ikenga is the gift of the chi. Everybody's chi manifests them into creation for a specific purpose or to actualize a reality. And whatever that reality is, their chi equips them with the Ikenga necessary to do that at a divinely inspired, divinely guided, and divinely protected level. Or as Ndibo say, "Abara ne-enye nwata ji, ga-enye nwata mma, ọ ga-eji awaya." The spirit that gives a child a yam gives the child the knife needed to cut it. The number 3 is also the house of procreation, as procreation again is movement or life flowing through expanding canals, as the Omomo is the feminine pairing to the Ikenga, meaning Omomo and Ikenga are fractal manifestations of Ekenachi, as the Ikenga is the gift that your chi gives you to actualize what it brings you into the world to actualize. The Omomo is the gift, Eke, or the universe gives you to actualize what it has sent you to actualize. As the house of Ikenga and Omomo, the number 3 is also the number of Amadioha, the manifest will of Chukwu on the level of nature. As the Ikenga is the knife that you use to cut the yam you receive from spirits, Amadioha is the energy the creator uses to execute, protect, and actualize its plan in the manifest world. Now pay attention to this part, because this is going to help you understand the secrets behind Amadioha that many fail to grasp. At times throughout human history, Amadioha can manifest in human form as the individual who takes the baton to represent the collective will of a people, meaning that this sacred duty is a mandate governed by forces far beyond. This takes us to the number 4, or Ano. In ancestral numerology, the number 4 is completion. Ano is what Chukwu uses to order the whole of the universe. In the beginning of time, when the Abara, or the spirits of nature and existence, were battling for ultimate supremacy to see which would be greater than which, since each had attributes the other did not have, Chukwu prevented the shattering of the universe from this pending war by creating order in the universe using the number 4. Chukwu did so by putting all of the Abara in pairs of 2 into 4 houses. These houses were Eke, Urie, Afo, Nkwo, also correlating with light or fire, water, earth, wind, the 4 states of matter, plasma, liquid, solid, gas, as well as the 4 directions. Through the number 4, Chukwu created completion. Also note that in the story Odachi Nebere, Chukwu's first creation, other than separating from the singularity, is the creation of a 4-walled chamber known as Obi Chukwu, the source of all creation, which represents itself in us as the Oseora, or the spiritual eye and higher mind. Earlier I said that the number Abo, or 2, is being, meaning that 4 is completion, because all things that are in 2s. So even though 2 is already in 2s, that 2 pairing is also going to have its duplicate, or abo na moya, 2 and its spirit. 4 is the number of the Ezumezu. In the ancestral worldview, it's best to imagine a human being as a galaxy, with your chi being the sun, and then multiple other things orbiting around that sun that make the totality of you, both what can be seen and not seen. This idea of you as an entire galaxy or an entire universe is referred to as the Ezumezu. And in Odinani, anything referred to as Ezumezu is ultimate, total, and complete. Multiple Abara, such as Agun, are referred to as an Ezumezu more, because Agun is all-seeing, all-knowing, and all-being. And the Ezumezu Agun is represented with the 4-headed Agun figure. This figure is often held by Dibias at their Obi when they join Uagun. Uagun is the world of Agun, meaning that a Dibia has accepted that they are a member of a particular spiritual family referred to as Uagun, and therefore in many Dibia's altars, they will not only have something to represent their Agun, but the various members of the Agun family, such as Agun Mo, Opara Agun, the first son of Agun, Ne Agun, mother Agun, Nagun, father Agun, Adagun, the daughter of Agun, even Agun, Geta, Agun's dog. Now, if you're interested on a video on Uagun or the world of Agun, the full Agun family, comment below. Space-time is formed by 4 elements: length, height, width, and time. In contemporary physics, it is said that the universe works with 4 fundamental forces: gravity, electromagnetism, weak nuclear force, and strong nuclear force. Because 4 is the Ezumezu number and all of creation is built using Eke, Urie, Afo, and Nkwo, in Igbo cosmology and in Igbo storytelling, you will notice a pattern where an individual unlocks Etu, the mind of Chukwu, simply by reciting the words Eke, Urie, Afo, and Nkwo, making that individual's knowledge total and complete. In the Afa language, Afa uses 2 nodes to speak: Obi, or light, and Akun, or darkness. But in order to access the mind of the earth, Afa must be set in a string of 4s. And based on the arrangement of light and dark in this string of 4s, an individual can unlock a series of messages with a series of meaning. Because 4 is the most sacred number in Igbo cosmology, the kola with 4 lobes is referred to as the ezumezu oji, the total and complete oji, and is the most ideal to use in prayer, in greeting guests, in consumption, in medicine, and most frequently in ritual, though some rituals will require different numbered lobed oji based on the energy it is trying to utilize. And that's it. This is Derek Ofadaroma with The Medicine Show. Thank you.